So the first part of what we're going to be showing is called Magic Capture. That's what actually captures the invoice data. I've got a real world example built up that'll show you exactly how that works. And then we will send that out for the necessary approvals within our RouteWise workflow engine. And then all this information is going to flow back to BC directly. You won't have to hand key anything in. And another important note on all of this is at every step of this process, it's going to flow back. All the changes, all the adjustments that get made to these invoices are going to flow back to both RouteWise and Magic Capture and make things easier the next time that that invoice comes through the process. But we pulled some data on it, and as of right now, 96% of invoices that we're capturing are what we call zero touch. And what that essentially means is that no one has to go back and make a fundamental change to that invoice. That means we're capturing the coding, what vendor it's from, all the location info, the invoice date info, invoice number, of course. And all of that's being captured automatically, meaning all that that person is doing during the approval process is just looking at it and going, yes, I do approve this. There's virtually no entry required on 96% of those invoices. Another cool thing about the way that this is set up, which you'll see here, is there are no templates that need to be configured. You don't have to tell it where to look. You don't have to tell it where an invoice number is, where the purchasing total is. It doesn't change per vendor. All of that is going to be automatically updated by our system and fed back into a continuous loop of improvement through real-time learning. So all you have to do is use the system as you normally would, use BC as you normally would, and that's going to be enough to provide the feedback that is going to change how things actually happen in our system and how that capture works. And another difference that makes us really good at organizations that are spread out over multiple locations or organizations that are service operators that manage other companies is we have really great location capture support that can be used both on coding, applying dimensions to invoices, as well as getting them out to the correct approvals and providing some visibility there as well. So those are sort of the four pillars of why I think our capture is really, really good. We can route based on anything that we've captured to, and our multi-location routing is also really, really good. As you'll see, the approval process itself is just going to be built into your web browser. I've already got my Fidesic web browser pulled up and logged in. You don't need a BC license necessarily to make these approvals. So if you've got users that don't need access to BC, they can approve in our system directly. And of course, we do have approve out of email functions here as well. Key things to take away now with our BC integration is one, it's already available on AppSource. You can go add it to your BC environment right now. We have a fully free version that you can add where you can process up to 100 invoices a month, and there's no cost to that system. So if you've got BC set up and you've got 100 invoices a month that you want processed, go at it. You've got nothing to lose. I'll show you how that setup process works because we do have an easy setup wizard that'll take care of pretty much everything in terms of setup. I'll speak to that once we get into the demo as well. Without any further ado, I will head into my actual demo environment and show you a bit more about how this system works itself. So I guess thing one that I want to talk about is how this install process actually takes place. It really is as simple as logging into your BC system, going to your extension marketplace, searching for Magic Capture or Fidesic, whatever you want to be searching for, and then you hit get it now. That's it. It's going to start an installation process in our system. And once that has completed, it's going to take you to the setup wizard, which is going to take you through everything that you need to set up the system. So basically, it's going to just make sure that it creates a new Fidesic account for you. It's also going to initiate the sync of all data from BC into Fidesic. And that's how we can really turbocharge the speed with which we can deploy these setups, is that we're going to sync everything that we need for you to start capturing immediately. So there's not really any additional setup that's going to be required. So what do I mean by that? In Fidesic, I can show you that we have all of your vendors that you have set up in BC. These are all going to be synced automatically. That's also going to include any default dimensions, any default codes, any default recurring purchase lines that you've already configured. We're automatically going to sync that across and have access to that data, which enables us to start doing capture. Of course, we're also going to sync your whole chart of accounts automatically. We're also going to sync your dimensions automatically, as well as your recurring purchase lines and what vendors are associated with those recurring purchase lines. So All that just happens. There's nothing that you need to do other than go through the setup wizard, and that's going to take all of that data and push it up into our system as sort of our base level data set that we're now going to use for that invoice capture. So if you were to set this up, all we've done thus far is grab it on Marketplace, click through the wizard, and now you would be caught up with where I am in this system right now. So to actually submit an invoice to our system for processing, you can go to this invoice inbox tab here, and this will show you the address that is specific to your company that you've set up. But everything sent to this OCR email address is going to be automatically captured, and we'll show you the output of that in our system. So for the purposes of this demo, I've sent in an invoice to this address, and then it's now been spit back out the other side and been processed by our data capture itself. So if I go to that invoice in question here, we can see that this is an invoice that I set up and submitted for capture a little while ago, but literally what I did for this example is I had a printed invoice example. I crumpled it up, shot some baskets with it, and then proceeded to uncrumple it, take a photo with my phone. As you can see, this is just a JPEG. This isn't even like a PDF. And then I sent this in for processing. Based on that, we were still able to capture everything that we need on this invoice to create a transaction. So we assigned a code. If we had any dimensions associated with this particular vendor or particular invoice, those would have been assigned as well. Of course, we grabbed the invoice number, the date, the terms, the total amount. All of that is going to be captured automatically by our system for everything that you send in. So in the case where this isn't perfect, right? If you need to make an adjustment, you can adjust it here. You can add additional dimensions, add additional GL codes, whatever you need for this particular invoice. But simply by the act of doing that, that's going to make our OCR get better the next time around. We've now got better examples to do machine learning on, and it's going to continually improve. That's how we get to that point where 96% of those invoices are captured without any input necessary. So there will be a bit of a curve when you start out using this system in terms of like editing and adjusting things, but very quickly the feedback loops will start being self-fulfilling, and really it's just a matter of sending them in, giving them the thumbs up, and then those invoices are good to go. Like I said, I encourage you, just go at it, try out our capture. That's one of our core values here, is we want people to try things without having to necessarily make a huge investment, because we think it's really good and we want people to try it. In terms of workflow, I won't go into too much detail on workflow here today. What I tell people is basically, if you can make a Visio or hand drawing of what you want your workflow to look like and function like, we can make that happen on our end. That's something that our team will definitely take care of with you. So if you want some help building out that workflow, we can do it. This is an ultra simple workflow that is just based on what vendor that it's from. But if you see, I can add stages based on just about anything. So if I want to route things based on department code, I can have a whole stage based on that. Customer group code, any other dimension that you have set up in your BC is a valid thing for routing. That also, of course, is going to include your GL coding. That's something else that you can use for routing. And there is no hard cap on number of stages, number of rules, number of people using the system. That's all just a matter of how many users you've got. We'll help you set it up. Makes it nice and easy to get your workflow rolling and routing as you need. And then another great function in this workflow engine that can help out is we do have our reassign approvals tool. And what this will basically do, think of like HR type situations. So if the controller is going on vacation and support person needs to replace their pending approvals, great. If you want to replace their future approvals, you can do that as well. And if you want to make it a temporary rule, then you can set a start and stop date range on this. What that's going to do is A, move their currently pending invoices from one queue to another, and then B, automatically update that workflow engine that I just showed you. So everything future is going to be routed accordingly. And then if it is temporary, it's just going to go back to the way it was when this expires. So it makes it really easy to handle like standard HR type requests. I'm going on vacation, I'm going on maternity leave, or if you have to replace somebody. Most people don't end up like digging into the workflow engine itself, because this tool is going to handle, 99% of those instances that you need in like your day-to-day management. So this invoice has been sent out for approval. That user is going to be able to see in their queue if they have invoices that need to be approved. So For your average user, the majority of what they're going to be doing within our system is they're going to get an email notification from us that says you've got some invoices to review. And then B, you're going to check your little bell icon up here and go, oh, I have an invoice I need to review. So you can come to this invoice page. This is going to be a list of everything that's in your queue as a user right now. You can check that out, see exactly what it is. Here's another horribly crumpled up invoice here. Different invoice test that I did. This looks good to me. I think it looks great. I'll go ahead and hit approve. Enter your optional approval notes, and that invoice will now be fully approved, and now you have nothing left in your approval queue. So for your average user experience, that's basically what their interaction with Fidesic is going to be like. They're going to log in, they're going to review what they have to, and then they're going to go about their day. If you want to pull more details, you certainly can. You can go to this invoices received tab here, and this is going to be a whole history of everything that's been processed through our system. And you can filter and sort this based on about 1 million different things. You can do things that are just approved, things that have certain vendors, change the date range, that are just credit memos, lots of filters that you can do. In whatever filter combination you've built out here, you can export this to Excel as well. We want to make it easy for you to get this data out of the system to, do any further analysis that you want. So you can always just export right from this page, and it'll give you a full detail on all of these invoices for you to, do your Excel magic on. Of course, there's built-in reports too. So, a whole bunch, accruals, aging, invoice backup reports that'll contain the original PDFs or copies of invoices if you need. Same holds true with payment backups. There's a lot of reports. If you're looking for something, I would bet we already have it. And if you need something custom, this page can usually take care of it. And then of course, if none of those things are true, let us know. We'll build it out for you. So we've got 2 invoices that are approved right now. So I mentioned earlier that everything that is in BC is going to sync up to Fidesic, and that's what gets us started. We still do make the BC invoicing process user initiated. So what that basically means is, once a week, once a day, whatever works for your company, that AP person is actually going to initiate the import from Fidesic into your Business Central system. The reason that we do that is then we can follow BC user controls to make sure that, things aren't getting created that aren't tied to a specific user. And to do that, it's really just as simple as going to your purchase invoices page, clicking your Fidesic button, and then import your Fidesic purchase invoices. And that's going to automatically create those invoices within your BC system. So we've got our 2 examples that we saw were approved earlier. If we hop back and refresh this page, these are now in an exported status because we've sent them over. So these invoices are all set, good to go, ready for regular BC posting. So we do bring them across in an unposted status by default. So you can pull these up, make modifications if you really need to. Realistically, you're not going to have to, since these are already set up. We've entered everything that you need on them. We'll enter any lines, all the details, all going to be taken care of based on the information that we set up. So it's really just a matter of importing and posting. And that's functionally all you're going to have to do in the system to create your invoices. So you import, you can review as much as you want. But again, everything's already captured, already approved. And then you can just post that like any other invoice. So that sort of marks the end of the invoicing side of this. We can divide up our system into 2 parts. If you just want invoicing, great, go for it, no problem. We also have a payments piece. And what this payments piece is basically there's a couple attributes to it. One, we'll print your checks and we'll send your ACH files to your bank. So if you want to do that, you're all set. We can actually process your payments accordingly. What we can also do is allow you to approve those payments through an easy to use interface. And of course, there's also going to be a way for your vendors to then opt in for ACH and tell you, hey, I want to be paid by ACH, as well as look up additional payments. So the beauty of all of this is it's going to upload directly from BC, just in a very similar method to what I showed earlier. And we do have a separate payment approval routing process. So if I want to initiate that payment process, I can just go to our custom window, Fidesic payment journals here. And what we're going to do is suggest Fidesic payments. What this will do is actually allow us to select anything that we want on our payments here. We'll pick our posting date. We're going to filter based on vendors that have opted in. We can summarize per vendor. We can pick if we want it to be a bank account payment. We've got a lot of options on this. So we've got our Fidesic payments in here that are ready to be uploaded into the system that are going to be against what we have on our side. We can go ahead and upload our graphic design invoice. All you have to do is hit upload payments. You can upload them as a batch or you can upload them as individuals, and those payments will be sent up automatically. And this is just how easy our setup is. Let me go make sure that we have our bank account synced. Cool. Well, let's go back and we can upload that again. And that payment will now be uploaded to our system and moved to our batch. So now in Fidesic, what we've got is a payment that we just uploaded for our Graphic Design Institute. And this is going to connect back to the original invoices that are being paid. So we can see the one that we uploaded here. I've got some other test data in here, but that payment's going to link back to that invoice that we scanned in. You'll be able to keep track of that. And that's now going to require a payment approval on our side. Very, very similar to how invoices are going to be approved. Once we have attained that necessary payment approval, we're then going to actually disperse that payment for you. So if it's paper check, we can print and mail those paper checks out to your vendor directly. Of course, it's also going to include a message with instructions on how to opt in for ACH payments. And if they have already opted in for those ACH payments, that vendor is going to be defaulted to ACH. So the advantages of how our ACH processing works, there's a couple of them. One, it's the most secure way to actually deliver these Nacha files to your bank. So we will generate that Nacha file. It will be encrypted, and we're going to deliver that to your bank in an encrypted form. That means no one can edit that file in between. It's the most secure way to do it. You can generate these files out of Business Central directly, but it is going to require somebody downloading that file and then uploading it to the bank, which does open the door for some security issues. The second thing about our payments piece that is advantageous for you is that it's a lot easier. We're going to deliver that file automatically. It's not going to require a separate process to do so. You just approve your payments, then fulfillment will take place on our system. We'll handle that portion of things. So those are sort of the two primary benefits of using us for ACH processing. And then of course, the final one is that we also have a vendor portal, which will make it easy for those vendors to opt in for ACH payments the next time around, help drive adoption and move off of those paper checks. Like I mentioned, we can also handle that paper check fulfillment if you want us to do so, or you can keep that in-house. We're very flexible on what we can do in terms of payments. Now, the final thing I wanted to mention on payments is that we do also support positive pay. So if you need assistance delivering your positive pay file to your bank as well, or PaySafe, Paysurance, there's a bunch of different names. But we support all major bank formats on that, including delivery. So that's one less thing that your AP team is going to have to do. We'll generate that positive pay file, and we will deliver that to your bank directly along with your ACH, aka your Nacha file. So those are the primary benefits of the payment side. Again, another benefit is that you really have access to everything through the same interface as you had on invoicing. So it does make that process easy to add into your existing setup. So like I said, we're keeping it short and sweet today. We're not going into a ton of detail on any of this. I wanted to give this as a high level overview of what we have. We love doing discovery calls and we love custom demos. So if you want to learn more, if you just want to have a conversation and say, you know, we do it this way, will this work? We're very open with what we're good at and what is a good fit. We don't want to sell you something that doesn't help you out. So if you have any questions, you want to learn more info, you can go to Fidesic.com. There's lots of options to schedule yourself a demo. Or if you want to grab some of my time, this is my custom scheduling QR code. You can schedule that, pick a time. I will be there and happy to answer any question.